Okay, so the pages we were assigned started talking about the made-for-video market and how the target base was those who started buying the Disney movies. But the question was, are these people going to also buy a product that wasn't shown in theaters but instead made directly for the home video market? And the simplest way to do this was to create sequels of movies, which Disney became very good at. The most successful of these, of course, was The Land Before Time. I think we all know that movie. And I was correct in guessing that there were more than 10 sequels, which is ridiculous. But it was the most successful. And there are made for video videos and videos that just go directly to video, but they aren't the same thing. The video market led to niche opportunities. One example was the fitness and workout videos, like Jane Fonda. The concert films and the toy brands started creating videos as well. There were two high-definition DVD systems that were released in 2006. The Blu-ray by Sony and HD DVD by Toshiba. It kind of turned into a war, but in the end, Walmart and Warner Brothers ended the debate, and Blu-ray won. Blu-ray starts to incorporate the internet, which was a huge deal. Then we see a start of marketing other products at retail. And two things were exploited in this category. Catalog titles. They started to evolve into having special editions and things like director's cut and separate DVDs within the plastic container. And television shows and collections started to become the standard. So now you can buy full seasons and watch them all at once. By the end of the 90s, DVD was pretty much the standard, and that standard was growing, and people started buying instead of renting DVDs. And the children's market also boomed, and it was no longer just Disney that was selling movies on video. But by the end of 2005, it was in a phase of decline, and then we see a compressed sales cycle. It was accentuated by the flood of additional products trying to take advantage of DVD. DVD retail was starting to look like box office, meaning it was gaining all the revenue that it was going to, or its main revenue in the first 2 weeks of release. In order to sell DVDs, you had to advertise the release, so advertising costs and budgets for DVD releases multiplied several-fold, and therefore in-store marketing campaigns increased in importance as well. Things like posters, more signs, and displays for movies, stuff like that. Then it talks about how implementation of marketing programs is tailored at the retail level. Things like placement of product in the store, campaigns for posters or buttons that the staff are supposed to wear, customized packaging, things like that. Then it talks about how they can use what's called loss leading products, which means the retailer would discount a really big title for a limited period of time to draw in customers who are then likely to purchase other products while they're in the store. So they're willing to lose a little bit of money on the film product in order to gain money in other ways. But this can be bad for distributors, and one way they combat this is MAP, which is setting a minimum advertised price. Then it talks about e-tailers and their growth, which is just online sites that are going to sell the DVDs, and how Amazon is becoming a huge customer for distributors. And the pros and cons of e-tailers, like they can't loss lead products, but they can offer convenience and targeted suggestions. Then it talks about the growth of Netflix as an alternative delivery system. It isn't constrained by physical retail shelf space. It has a seemingly infinite number of titles, but the drawback that they figured would be the biggest drawback would be the fulfillment delay, but it turned out it wasn't that big of a deal. And it even added video on demand status, and Blockbuster had to compete with this, and we all know how that turned out for Blockbuster. Then it discusses the shrinking of the video release window, meaning the amount of time that you have to wait in order to release a DVD for sale after it's shown in the theaters, and how that window is shrinking. But it also talks about how the DVD window doesn't really have to worry too much, because it's going to take a long time before customers use online channels as their primary way of consuming film products. Then the second set of pages talks about, it's just 1 or 2 pages, it discusses the impact of technology on video and the pressure on DVDs from digital copies and digital storage. And one countering force that DVD has is retail pressure. But whether or how long the DVD can stand up to the next generation of video on demand and digital storage is ultimately going to be up to the consumer. Then the supplemental reading I chose to read was YouTube. 2014 is the year of high def stream. Basically talks about how YouTube announced that it's going to be demonstrating high definition video streaming at the Consumer Electronics Show next week using the Google Video Code C VP9. Why it's important: basically it's going to allow YouTube and other sites like it to transmit high definition 4K quality streams without slowing down your network, which means less buffering. Yay! And Google wants it to be broadly adopted, and some of its partners are already Sony and Panasonic and LG. But Google also is having hardware and software partners like ARM, Broadcom, Samsung, NVIDIA, Mozilla, Marvel, and Toshiba, and some partners like that. And Google even says that the VP9 will save people like programmers and even schools eventually millions of dollars when creating video projects. But they said it also does help Google because it saves on bandwidth. Bottom line is Code C like VP9 can increase the speed and size of the internet. And that was what the supplemental reading was about. That's pretty much it.